as always, a stacked agenda tonight. Do you see my screen?
Yes.
Yeah.
Good. So we'll start with the status updates as usual, and if you doing so we'll try to keep the discussion topics at the end. If you during your status update come up with something you need to discuss, we'll note it and come back to it later. So we get to the end of the updates before we start the discussions. And Livy is not here. She's still in the stewards meeting, I see. So let's skip her for now and go return to her and go straight for the first quant preparations and execution with Mitch.
Yeah, well, I just finished making the new reward board, so that's done and deployed on XDAI, and the people that were in that initial reward board list have all been minted reward board membership tokens. So that should be ready to roll, I think, unless I'm missing something else. Apart from that, we've got roles made for quantifiers and reward board members. I think Vai did that, but he's also not here. And I've started the documentation for the reward board guides and requirements, and I'll be working on the same document but for quantifiers. And that's my status updates. I'll have more discussion later, but I'll keep passing it along.
Cool, thanks. Do we have ViViV here? We don't have. So I can give a short update for ViViV and the meeting tracker bot. We had a meeting this earlier today, and he's continued to dig around in the Discord API to track the events generated from the API when users join and leave voice meetings. So he's continues working with that and hope to be able to have something up and running during the next week, I think. And the sourcred pollen bot, I'll give a short status update for that one as well, if Nahas is not here. And that is the update is that the bot is running actually on this server as of now. It's running on a channel that we cannot see. So has done a great job of taking the OneHive bot, modifying for it for our needs. And for if someone don't remember what the pollen bot is about, so it is for sourcred administration. For self-serving your identity stuff. So linking your Ethereum address to your sourcred identity, linking your GitHub and Discord accounts to your sourcred identity, so that you can receive receive rewards from sourcred. So I think within a week or so that the bot will be up and running for real. We needed to update or upgrade our sourcred instance or something like that before it was completely live. And then we have the praise backend and front end. Nebs, would you like to say something about the front end, or would you like me to demo it?
Yeah, maybe you can demo it if you have.
Yeah,
if you have it running.
Cool. I thought we'd just give you a short glimpse of where we are at with the praise dashboard and the user interface. So let me log out first. So this is the screen that greets the user. So basically, anyone with the Ethereum address can log into the praise instance by signing a message. Do you see my? You don't see the MetaMask pop-up. But now I'm signing a message and I'm logging into the system. And this first screen is some sort of overview screen where you can see all the incoming praise from all sources, from Telegram and from Discord. Right now, the design leaves a lot to ask. There's a lot to be done, and a lot of the information you see is also dummy data. But the information you see here is the actual praise information taken from the actual back end. So the whole system is working. Front end and back end is communicating, and that is one of the big achievements to get to that point. The Quantifier Pool is one concept we have been discussing. The Quantifier Pool is the group of people that can do the quantifications. We have added functionality here for adding people to the Quantifier Pool, and you can also remove them from the Quantifier Pool if you are.
Quickly, Christopher?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, if you are an admin, I was going to ask: are those the type of permissions that the board has?
Yes, unless we decide otherwise. All the reward board members are also praise administrators.
Yeah, so until we decide, we'll start with that, and then we'll decide if how to maybe delegate that as needed or whatever. Okay,
so the praise system currently has 3 roles. It has users, which is anyone, and users basically only can view their own praise, and they can view summaries for past praise periods, and we have quantifiers that they can do that, and in addition to that they can also perform quantifications for periods where they are assigned as quantifiers, and then we have administrators that can view anything and change a lot of stuff. So that is the Quantifier Pool. Quantification periods. We can create new ones. Let's create one for December. That ends December 31st. And yeah, so things like error messages, server checking that we are inputting the correct values, and all that stuff is working. So now the rule is the period end date must be minimum 1 week later and the last date. I don't know what the last date was, so let's make it end of February created. So, and now this system also tells me that you can perform quantifications for the following periods, August to September, because I'm apparently a quantifier for that period as well. So I'll click there, and then I come to a screen that summarizes what users have I been assigned to quantify. So in this case, I have been assigned 3 users: Happy Salamander, Santa's Helper, and Daft Punk, and I will quantify all their praises. And I see some sort of summary saying like how many items I have to still to quantify before I'm done. I choose Happy Salamander, and this is, I guess, the meat of the whole thing. This is the main quantification screen where you view all the praise from Happy Salamander, and you choose according to this scale that we selected before how to weigh them, and if you choose to dismiss them or mark them as duplicate, that is also reflected in the user interface, so that it becomes apparent that you have done that, and this that looks like this. So if marking as a duplicate, you should only be able to search here in this box for some part of the text of the duplicate praise or the ID or whatever, and then add it as a duplicate, or marking it as dismissed. So you should dismiss it when it contains no praise information or is out of scope for the praise system, whatever we decide that will be. And that's it. I just wanted to just give you a glimpse of our progress. There is still some things left to do, but we are well on our way to having something useful, at least.
That's amazing. Thank you for the demo.
It looks awesome.
Looks really, really cool. Looks really, really functional.
I hope so. Time will tell, or we will know after the first the trial quant. We will know for sure.
Right.
I'll pass it to Nagan, I guess, for the an allocation and distribution analysis.
Yeah. We'll also we're going forward. We're working on the Jupyter notebook. We had a good meeting yesterday where some questions came up, which we would like to discuss at the end. But yeah, it's going forward. We had now these days we kind of prepared the field to get a bit more into analyzing the quantifiers. So I just saw Olivia's post, and I think that looks amazing, and we definitely want to integrate that into the dashboard. So I'll get in contact with his I don't remember his name, but yeah. So yeah. So that's it. And I wanted to ask Matteo if he's here. I think he wanted. Yeah. If I don't know if you're the right person for this, Matteo, but do we have some template of what we're going to feed the Aragon DAO, so we can kind of start working on the export function?
Hey guys, so maybe we can check what the Aragon interface can or needs, and then we can see that kind of template, because I'm not sure what you mean, to be honest. So we can check the interface and see.
Okay, great. Then I'll get back to you privately.
Yeah.
Now. So yeah, that's
Cool.
That's it. Everything.
We were discussing the importance of making the analysis dashboards something that could be sort of read from top to bottom by a person that is not super technical and could follow the flow. Like, this is the inputs from Praise, this is the input from sourcred. We merge them, we analyze them, we calculate the distribution, and in the end we export that as a data file for doing the actual distribution. So that I think that was a good insight, that we focus on making it an easy to read thing.
Yes.
Livy is here. Welcome. We skipped you, and we'll happily go back and let you have a go.
Sorry about that. Yeah, I think I just wanted to go back to the manifesto. Let me open here and just make sure that we are all okay with it. Thank you, Mitch, for putting a comment there. I think we went over it last week. It feels like we're in a good place, and we can start sharing this Thursday about the progress in the community call from the reward system working group, instead of being mixed with SoftGov. And also, I think just seeing next steps. Mitch is working on the reward DAO and how all interactions will happen there, and kind of detailing that, right, in a blog post.
Yeah, Christopher started a Notion doc, and then I put in, well, it's turning into a novel, but I put some information there.
Cool. I think just what we need now is having the clear role of quantifiers and then communicating with them. And I know Ryder wanted to collaborate on that. Maybe you could take that on and pair with Mitch on the work he's already doing for communicating the overall process. But some questions came up for the quantifiers that we haven't decided yet. So are they going to be any type of members, new members, or do we need to have a ratio from members that are older in the community? ViViV raised that point last week of maybe we need some people that our older members to, when we do the average, to have these perspectives mixed. But I think that if we have a good onboarding and a good role description, we'll be incentivized to create better praise and to praise in a more detailed way. And then people should be okay to quantify from that info only.
Do we have space to discuss this here, or is it something that I should just be meeting with Mitch about separately?
I started that quantification thread so that we can have those discussions. So we can do it there.
Yeah. No, in general, if it's a one-on-one discussion, take it one-on-one, and if it's a group discussion, let's do it here. So maybe, Livy, were you done with the status update about the rewards working group startup? What's the next action is launching the thing, or the telling? Yeah, like you said, on the Thursday meeting, start communicating from the work group.
I think only one question that was unclear from last call was like, oh, is this many groups inside of one group? But the idea of having a working group is to have all of these work streams happening simultaneously. So we have the development of the product and all the responsibilities from the board and all the work of the quantifiers all under this umbrella of the working group. And once one project ends, another one will continue, and we continue to like communicate using the same docs, same call, same platform, same everything to make it easier.
Yeah, I think it's as simple as the comms working group working on separate work streams for communicating one blog post the 1 week and some other thing the other week. Like
so, if I understand correctly, you're saying that then as quantifiers are recruited, they all become a part of this working group?
I mean, you're already a part of this working group by being part of the board. So
I'm not concerned with myself. My question is, as we recruit quantifiers, like we're talking about who we want to recruit, I'm trying to understand based on what you just said, if then we are adding to the working group when we recruit quantifiers each quant, because that's what I just thought I heard you say. And so I'm trying to understand if that's what you meant or if I'm understanding correctly.
Mm-hmm.
I think they're welcome to this call if they want to be more informed on everything happening in the back end, but they don't need to come to this call. I think it's just like we will organize in this call the best onboarding to give to them, and this will be one of the tasks of this working group.
That feels super clear to me. What I thought you said was that all quantifiers are considered part of the working group, and that was confusing for me. And so, like that, they should all be joining the call as they become quantifiers. And I was confused by that.
So what we're saying that the quantifiers are not necessarily being added as members to the working group by just being a quantifier, but they, of course, they are welcome to join the work group meeting if they like.
Yeah, I think they're like welcome to join. Part of their work stream is managed by this working group. And if they have any questions, if they want to collaborate with the onboarding, maybe there's a quantifier that wants to like improve this process, and then this would be the space to do all of that coordination. Yeah. But their work stream is very specific. So they will deal mostly with the dashboard, right? They don't need.
Yeah.
Have we already decided how they're going to be rewarded, or am I talking about something that is in a text thread somewhere?
That is decided. They get a fixed amount of the total budget being distributed for the period that they are.
Thank you.
Should we start from the top with the discussion questions? And we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 questions. So that means somewhere around 5 minutes per thing. We would need to keep it there to get to the end. Nagan, reducing the power of the powers of the reward board.
Yeah. Well, just while we were discussing the other day the whole process of how a quant would work, we noticed that there were 2 points where people have direct access to modify the praise data directly. The first one being the quantifiers when they meet up at the end of the async period to kind of go through everything and sign off what they will send to the reward board. And then again, the reward board when they review that. And yeah, we were thinking if maybe it wouldn't make more sense that the reward board can only ratify or deny the proposal from the quantifiers, because in a way it also kind of defeats the purpose of making random choices, anonymizing everything. If at the end of the process you're going to have a small group of people who are going to be the same throughout several periods with direct access to modify stuff. So we wanted to get some community input on that.
And denying the reward board, denying the distribution proposed by the quantifiers would also mean that the quantifiers would have to have a look at it again.
Yes.
in a group setting, the same as they do in the post the individual quant, they get it together and analyze together, and that would need to happen again if the reward board denies the distribution.
Do you think that there could be a struggle then between the quantifier pool or like the drafted quantifiers and the reward board? Because they could literally, it's just like bounce it between each other and then it would never pass.
Yeah, I mean, we could specify like it can bounce, and if not, you have to repeat the whole process or something.
I'm in favor of just like less rules and technical limitations and more relying on people's reputation. If reward board members are gaming the system, it's like their reputation's at stake.
Mm-hmm. So you would be for allowing direct modifications?
I mean, we have to assume that people understand what they're getting into when they join the reward board, and that that particular power is communicated clearly. Like, why does it exist? Why can you do that?
There's also
go ahead, Christopher.
There's also both a not necessarily a technical issue, but there's also, I think there's a value in making the process simple. To me, it felt a little bit weird that first you do the quantification, then the group looks at it and makes changes, and then another group looks at it and makes the change, even more changes.
Exactly.
So it sort of felt better that first you do individual quantifications, and then the group gets together, do the changes, and then we have the board. They just ratify it, like approve or deny. But most likely they will always approve.
Mm-hmm.
I think something that could be more straightforward is, so we have this process where quantifiers will look at all of. So they are quantifying separately, and then they will come together and look at the overall results. I think in this moment, there could be board members that don't need to be like all the board, but board members that also look at that information together. So it's a process that only happens once. And from there, that is all approved to go to the DAO for distribution. So the process of the DAO would be mostly just like voting for the proposal. And it's like Sam had said before, that usually we don't even need a DAO to make this distribution. We just have it in case something extraordinary happens. If we have a bug, if we have a hack, if we have something, then there's human power able to stop that decision from happening. this should be like, we should think about that the board shouldn't have this like, oh no, I'm not going to pass this proposal. Like, no, there's a whole process validating that proposal, and then when it gets to that point, it's ready for distribution. So we just involve some of the members in this overlook.
So I think that's a really great idea. And so I'm just thinking, like, right away when we draft a quantifier pool, we can draft reward board members in there. So, like, that's just the... No, not so hot, Christopher. And that's, so their only job is to just be a part of that final bit there, so that it's clear where the responsibilities are delegated.
I kind of like the idea of like, so there's, let me say 7 of us or 8 of us. So there's some number of us on the reward board, and it's part of our role, like at the end of that quant, to be there at that collective decision, like at that last collective, when all the quantifiers come together, 1 to 3 of us or something is there. And that's a part, it's just kind of like showing up for a Gnosis safe transaction. Like it's a part of your position, you know, and like, if something happens and it's the same person every time, we'll talk about it. But like, otherwise, maybe we'll see if it's a natural rotation, and if it doesn't happen naturally, then we make it, then we make a policy around a rotation or something. But I see it as like there's a lot of us, and we should be able to like maybe show up organically to that. Anyway,
Yeah, and that's
like,
sorry.
go ahead.
No, that's a mutual monitoring process too, because if the quantifiers are the only people there, maybe they would have an incentive to change something based on like seeing each other's results. But then if there's a person that wasn't there during the quantification and can also like have an interesting debate with them on this like cultural aspects, then it feels like everyone is looking what everyone is doing, and it's transparent and recorded or whatever.
And then it's one step closer to distribution because we're also signers, right? It feels like, is that how it works? Because when you said DAO, did you mean this DAO, like the reward board, or did you mean like TEC? Yeah, so like we're representative of this too. So we're on the ground with the collective, having like this, like, you know, constructive argument over the final, and then we are just a delegate, and it's not like another consensus making decision. It's just like this is what was come up with, y'all, and then we like do the distribution. Then it's like you said, it's not the another decision making process. It's just service. Like now we're going to do the service of the distribution. That's how I see it.
Yeah, exactly.
If the board doesn't feel that they can press the approve button directly, it's something that have gone wrong in the process earlier that needs to be sort of taken care of.
Sorry for being thick, but when is the total amount decided? Is that decided by the quantifiers in that meeting? Like the total amount of funds that are being distributed during that period?
We need to set that like beforehand. That's going to be part of the launch parameters. So ideally, again, we haven't decided this, but whether it's going to be a percentage of the common pool or fixed amount every 2 weeks, that's something we have to decide.
Should we move on to that? Well, there's at least two things talking about that, right? There's 3, because there's just param parties, setting up reward board, and trial quant planning. I think those are all kind of pertain to that question, potentially.
Yeah, let's try to round this off about the powers of the reward board. Do we came to any agreement about if we could strip the powers from the reward board to be able to do the changes? If they would like to do the changes, they are more than happy to be a part of the post quant analysis session to make sure that everything looks good, so that they can just press OK. But that will not be built into the analysis dashboard, the ability to make changes afterwards.
Mm-hmm. The last question. Go ahead, Again.
No, I also think there's just a value to having people there at the meeting in more of an advisory role, like people who are there every week or during several months and kind of have seen how this goes more often, who can give some input without really intervening. I think that is something with a value in itself.
Yeah, maybe that is probably a good routine that at least one of the reward board members are present at the post quant analysis session, and like you said, take the role mostly as an advisor, and definitely is in a minority, so that person cannot sort of override what the group has done. Yeah, but
I want to add that I think what Nugan is also like speaking to is like what is being decided as it pertains to like who's going to make up the quantifiers and like how are we, and that's something that's happening outside of the meeting at this moment, right, led by Mitch, of like how many like noobs and how many people who have done this before is going to be in that. And I think that lends itself to that more so than it lends itself to like who's our delegate from, because I'm new to praise. I've never done it before. So if I'm the reward board member that's there, that's not a signifier of my experience, for example. So I think, yeah, we'll figure that out async, right? In terms of like how we're deciding our quantifier set, and that it'll probably be great for it to be a mix, and then it'll also be someone from the reward board who at the end of the day at least has some insight to higher processes and is keeping a temp on the community in their own way.
Yeah, I just want to add one point too that I think we're forgetting because we didn't have that before. That is the analysis happening every time. So the what are you laughing at, Mitch?
Looking at Christopher and we're like thinking the same thing. We're both looking at the agenda and we're like, okay, all right.
no, let me go right ahead. Make it short, but go right ahead.
Thank you, Christopher. So the last point that we're going to add is the analysis. That is not the quantifiers analysis, is the dashboard analysis. And that should be the thing that offers insights to the reward board, to quantifiers, to everyone. And that will happen every 2 weeks. So if there is something weird in that period, also it's like, oh, we're learning from it for the next period. And I think this is an important learning we got from the whole praise debate is like, we don't need to change so much things how they happen, but let's have more frequent feedback loops. So every time we can like change parameters if we need, debate about this. And yeah, that's all.
Mitch, setting up the reward board, is there something else you would like to address for discussion?
No, it's done. But I changed the vote duration. You're gonna hate me. It's 36 hours now. It's very controversial. I'm sorry.
You can't just do that without asking nobody.
I know. It was like, everyone was like 48 hours, 36 hours. And I was like, well, if we make it, we can't change it. And I was like, it was such a struggle to get people to do something in 24 hours. And I was like, okay, how do we account for all the time zones? And if we do it on a Friday anyway, it'll pass before Monday. I'll make a new one if people like hate the extra 12 hours. But I was like, well, I didn't think
wasn't there an issue with what do you call it, slippage, etc. If we need to do interact with the augmented bonding curve.
Mm-hmm.
We want to. No, sorry.
I tried it out and it worked. At least on like a regular decentralized exchange. So we'll see. Otherwise, we'll have to find a less elegant solution outside of using agent.
Yeah. Maybe we need to discuss this async. I don't know how if anyone feels strongly about the number of hours. I don't have much to say about it. I'm too inexperienced when it comes to DAO votes, etc.
It'll take me 10 minutes to make a new one, so that's fine. But I was like thinking about what happened with extending the commons upgrade, and then I was thinking about like how panicked it felt just trying to get that one vote through of like changing the permissions, and I was like, well, I don't know if 24 hours is going to be enough.
I just want to say, like, I'm also a facilitator, and I understand when we have an agenda and we maybe can't get to all of it. And I think maybe to like not feel so pressured moving through these conversations, we choose which ones we're going to talk about and which ones we're not, perhaps. And even like if this isn't a synchronous conversation we should be having, we have it now, and we just like make that decision as we move forward through the agenda. So that we're not just like, now it's 3 minutes each. No, it's 2 minutes each. We are like more realistic about what we're going to chew today.
Anyway, please feel free to comment if you feel strongly, and I will fix it, and I will make it 24 hours, and I promise not to change it.
Well, I felt strongly about that, especially because there was like a process, there was discussion, there was people present in the meeting deciding that together, and it makes sense to have a quicker vote for something that the duration of the whole process is just 2 weeks. And it's going to be in such a flow that people will be prepared that that day is the day to vote. So we won't be needing to cat herd people, and we'll have maybe like 8 people max, and we'll just need like 4 people for the vote to pass. So it's not something crazy. Like I send a message to any of you guys today, you will answer me max tomorrow. That never happened, that anyone in this call just stayed like 2 days without answering. And I just feel like 36 hours, it's almost like a third of the, I mean, more than that, but it's a big
50%
fraction
more
that we would need to have.
Okay. Well, yeah, I'm not looking to drag this out too much, but like, fine, I'll just make a new one.
Okay, that sounds settled then. Unless anyone else has strong opinions about this. Let's see what's up next. Yeah, and I have input for the next one, trial quantification planning. We won't be done by 8th of December with the praise system, even though I showed you a nice looking screens. No, I got messages from Rudolf, who does the backend, just during this meeting, and he texted me earlier today saying his ass was on fire from his day job. So he's really busy with his day job and having difficulties finding time for developing the backend just now. He hopes to be finished with that project very soon. But I think it will be actually difficult for us to make it to that date. But since the Commons upgrade will be beyond the new year, we're not as stressed. So I think it's not the end of the world unless someone thinks it is. And I'd propose that we start by moving the trial quant a week forward to begin with. It would be nice to have done a trial quantification before Christmas, I think. So moving it a week forward would mean that we have from the 15th until the whatever 22nd, 23rd to do a trial quant. How does that sound? Any objections? Cool. Silence is always agreement. I read about this new thing, other thing, which turns that on its head, saying like for everyone that is silent, I disagrees. So everyone has to say something, which is an interesting. We'll try that sometime. Mitch, do you have anything more to say about the trial quantification planning, or could we do that async?
I think we need something like a working prototype to really understand the onboarding process. Ideally, like I envision it like we're gonna have like a little group of quantifiers who probably are on the reward board, and we're gonna click all the buttons and like figure out what onboarding process makes sense.
Yeah. And it won't be much more complicated than what I showed you. You will log into the system, enter the quantification screen, and do your quantification. So we try to keep it really, really simple.
Mm-hmm.
I want to make sure I understand. Because last I heard about this, besides the thread, was that we were like, who do we want to ask? Are we going to ask communitas? Are we asking? So are we actually just taking this first trial quant as like, let's see how many of us can be quantifiers. Maybe we'll add a few other folks in there and we'll just like trial this and get a first go at it so that we can work on onboarding and make it more available for a broader audience in the future to be quantifiers? Is that kind of how we're focusing it now?
Well, the thing is I don't want to open up the floodgates and then people, like a million people ask me, what do I do? And like, I don't know.
I get
what
that. I was
yet,
confused from the very beginning what we were trying to do. That's why I'm trying to see where we are now.
Yeah. And even then, like we're deciding in this meeting of like what quantifiers they're actually supposed to do. So it's like, well,
I get it.
Let's start slowly and you know, between
conservatively.
a small group.
I like it.
And the trial quant will also be remade because we are only quantifying the last month's worth of data, and then when we have set the process, recruited new quantifiers. I guess many in the reward board would like to be quantifiers in this first trial quant, which is a good thing to try out the process, etc. And then we'll do it all over again. But then we'll start, of course, with the oldest praise first, and then work our way through the backlog until we reach present time.
Am I the only one that would find it helpful to spend 5 minutes talking about this now instead of doing it in the thread? Because then that's fine. But otherwise, I feel like I keep being like, oh, we're doing this async and there's a thread, and like that's not helpful for me. Like I need to talk and understand where we are at real time, and that will be useful for me. And if it's useful for other people, I'd like to do that with some of our time today.
I mean, we can, but then all the other points won't get time.
That is true. And
I think that's so important, you know?
Yeah. The main thing here is deciding on the schedule. So we know what we are planning for, and the process of onboarding, or we will need to have like separate meetings for this, where we can discuss all this in depth, and not only doing it async in a thread, but I think most wise would be to do it all at once. I think like now we are starting the trial quant. The system is filled with information. The system is ready to go. Now let's meet and talk about it, because then we have everything visible. And yeah.
Great. So we can spend our time here talking about the dates and figuring that out.
Yeah, I propose that we move, we push it forward a week, and no one seemed to object.
Right, the 13th.
Yeah, I think that would be the 15th.
And that's going to be, how long are we opening it up for quantification? How long is the process? That's open
short.
for async.
Short.
5 days.
Yeah, this is getting like, it's like everyone knows this information and I don't know if I'm supposed to ask here or like.
No, I think it's this will be maybe up to Mitch to propose how we do it, how we actually when we get together, and for how long time the trial quant will be open. But it's
yeah, and it's like it'll be a big debate, I'm sure. Do you want me to talk about it though?
before this meeting, I had the idea that maybe we should talk about not only the starting date, but also what happens after the starting date. Is like we get together, we talk about the process, we look at the system, and then we say, okay, now it's quantification. So now you all go back to doing the quantifications, and then we meet again in 3 days or 5 days or whatever.
Yeah. So then we could say, since it's changing now because we've removed this modifying thing from the reward board, so then we've cut the decision time needed from the reward board and maybe added it to the quantifiers. But I think like it would be sweet if we could get this like done in 5 days, so like Monday to Friday. So then that would mean for every 2-week period of quantification, or like a 2-week period where we're looking at praise, then the quantification period would be the following week. Would that make sense? And then over the weekend, it would be distributed, and then people would come in Monday or Sunday, and it'd be boom. Then they would have TEC tokens. Ideally.
Yeah. So the analysis and distribution would happen on a Friday on that week.
Yeah, we would have to consider the full day we lose from the voting process on the DAO, just to approve it or reject it.
Yeah. But for this, the first trial quant, would this be an okay process that we use should we use the working group meetings for both the startup session and analysis post quant session, or should we book new meetings?
We can add one in, but I didn't want to do it this week because I don't think there was enough understanding to like make a meeting that would be worth everyone's time.
Because then we could do like this, that we use the work group meeting on the 15th as a start meeting for the trial quantification, and then the quantification runs until like Monday something, and then we have the post quant analysis session in an extra meeting on the Monday and Tuesday, and then we use the Wednesday meeting the week after, which is the 22nd, as the reward board analysis and distribution discussion.
Would for that Wednesday the analysis of the dashboard be ready already? Is that the idea? Yeah, right, because that should be automated.
Yeah, it's automated. Just input the data into the dashboard, and then we'll talk about it and generate the file and yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense.
I think that sounds good.
Cool. So then we have a general idea. Let me just see what Rudolf said. Yeah, he says it's if it's an opportunity to postpone the trial run a little, that would be ideal. Let's see. We have more things, unless Mitch, you would like to talk something more about the trial quant planning.
No, I have nothing more to say for that.
And Livy, about announcing the work group on Thursday, is there anything more to say about that? Cool. Nagan, specific param parties.
Yeah, mine's going to be short. At Params, we are offering the chance to do some special Param parties just for each working group. So everybody gets the chance to play with the dashboard and make a proposal and kind of have a look. And well, mainly we'd have to find a date which works. And I just wanted to propose if it would generally work to just do it after this meeting next week. Just make a Param party and the people who can stay. Or if there is some great disagreement now, I could open up a doodle and we can look for some day where everybody can, but maybe it's the easiest thing. So just fast approval, disapproval of that.
who can do a param party after next week's meeting?
Yeah.
Nice. Great. So it's settled then.
Nice. Identities. Yeah, this is the last topic, but this is potentially a huge topic. So, Livy, what did you have in mind with the identities?
Which we just have been having a lot of great ideas about that, and I think it's a combination of some of the identity solutions we need in the TC for governance, and since we're looking into identity aggregators here for all the data we need, maybe we could use the same solution for both. So Christopher and I were discussing this week if we could set up this praise validation of identity and mint a POAP for people who have this validation, and then add this POAP to Snapshot, and then people could only vote if they have both TC tokens and that POAP. And maybe, I don't know how feasible that is, but that could be implemented in conviction voting too. I don't know, Griff, if you have any idea. And then we could create some sort of not a reputation, kind of like a proof of existence based on praise, and use that for governance while the financial aspects of the token can be going wild and not hurt us.
Just so you know, it wouldn't be able to be integrated to DAO voting or conviction voting. Not in any easy. It would not be a small feat.
I think the general concept is super interesting, like verified by praise, to use the praise information in new and novel ways. But when it comes to identity, there are so many interesting and important things about identities. We need like reputation system with like verification that you are human or that you are a sort of an active member of the community is another thing. The common identity is in itself something to work for, to create, so that we don't have to manage your many identities over the different systems. So it's potentially a huge project taking all that on, but I think that this POAP thing, it could be done without having to write a single line of code. Actually, it's and again, in the analysis, or maybe it would have to be like a separate analysis. We would have to do to analyze which members have sent like 10 praise during the last 6-month period, at least 10 praise, and have also received at least 10 praise or something like that. And we would count those members as active community members and get their Ethereum addresses and mint them a POAP token that will give them access to the snapshot votes.
Yeah, that could already happen with that graph that Andy posted. That gives this cross information of who sent praise to who, how many received.
I like the idea of POAPs. I'm not sure I'm getting the full scope. I feel we are underestimating how hard these problems end up being. But yeah, we can spend some time looking at it. It seems like a great idea and fascinating project to. Yeah.
Which part of the problem?
Yeah. For example, I don't know. There's this whole problem of Sybil attacking. Like making a Discord is easy. If somebody starts to praise, alt accounts or changing the addresses and kind of trying to game the system. I'm not an expert, I don't know, but I know that people at Gitcoin are making a lot of research in that direction, and so I know that it's a hard problem, and I like it very much, and I yeah, I think it's cool to kind of think of it, and POAPs are always a great idea. But yeah, I would be a bit more cautious generally. Just
Yeah, on that point, maybe I'm being naive, but on that point, I thought that praise would solve that in the sense of like, oh, it's very qualitative praise that you need to give to someone. So it comes from a subjective interaction. And you wouldn't be just like one people praise you and then you have that POAP status, but it could be maybe like 10 people praise you and you praise 10 people. And maybe those people that you praised have to have verified identities. Maybe we could have like an initial set of verified identities, and then this interactions start happening, and that would be like, oh, you attest that that person is contributing in a way that is aligned to the community.
And it has to be weighed against the I guess the current situation or the future situation where the TEC token is live on the open market and anyone can buy the token, and just ownership of the token will give you vote access to vote on the snapshot. So and a system like this, the TEC token ownership combined with the POAP ownership maybe is not 100% waterproof, but at least it would be much more Sybil resistant than just having to own the token. I don't know if we are planning any other measures to make sure that mostly active community members actually take part in the votes.
yeah, I don't know. I think maybe we should have a separate meeting to kind of get really into it. I would love to.
Cool. Maybe that would have to be the last words for today then, because now it's 9 o'clock my time, which means we're out of time. And thank you for coming.